Hello and welcome to episode 3.
Going down.
And no, that's not just a clickbait title. That's actually pretty close to accurate. And it actually kind of pisses me off every time I think about it. Nobody told me. Although that exact figure is probably a bit of a stretch, the number is definitely in the ballpark. I would certainly be a lot closer to it than I am today. When was the last time you stopped to consider your relationship to money? Like, how do you think about money? What do you think of it? How does it affect you emotionally? And how do you handle it? I've spent the majority of my life never really addressing this for myself. And it was only up until recently that I decided I wanted to change that part of my life. Since that day, my entire outlook on finances and money management has completely shifted to the point where, for the first time in my life, I actually feel relief. And it's not because I have made a ton of money or I have a ton of money, but because by putting into practice some very basic steps to leverage the money that I do have, I've gotten to watch that money grow over the last several months. I am late to the game, but that's why I'm making this video, to help you out. Now, there are plenty of YouTube channels out there serving up highly polished professional financial advice. This is not that, but rather, this is a true story of one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in my life. And let me dispel this right out the gate for anyone looking for an easy path to a ton of money. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick plan. Anyone telling you that is full of shit and probably just trying to sell you a course or something. What I can tell you is with 100% certainty, just like everything I talk about on this channel, if you implement the basic steps that I'm going to talk about in this video and you stick with it, you will begin to accumulate more wealth. I know this because that's what happened to me. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. Dumb money. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. So let's start with this question. Am I smart with money? Would you say that you are good with money? If you would ask me that, I would tell you no. But that is not something I was willing to admit for a very long time. I just assumed that if I was able to make money and had a job, then I was okay. But I never really thought about it beyond that. If you're like me, then you can relate to years and years of living paycheck to paycheck, little to no money in savings, money in and money out. I always just assumed that I couldn't afford to start investing or putting any away with any serious intent. I don't believe that I am alone in this. I think it's a very common mentality. Even $10, $20, $5, that's not enough to actually save or invest. It's okay to spend it, but that's just wrong. This type of mentality in relationship to money creates years and years of struggle. So with that being said, I want to share a very personal story. Chapter 2, your life depends on it. Money, like emotions, is something you must control to keep your life on the right track. I titled this chapter, Your Life Depends on It, because a situation happened to my father that I want to share with you guys. Let me preface by saying I love my dad, and it is with his permission that I'm allowed to share this story as a cautionary tale. So from what I remember, my dad was always a very cool guy, had a ton of friends, lived in lower income apartment housing for as long as I can remember. I just remember him kind of bouncing around from job to job. So for the most part, my dad lived paycheck to paycheck. He never really saved for anything. He just lived his life the way he wanted to live. But sometimes life will come out of nowhere and bite you in the ass. My dad had a stroke at the age of 55 and lost the ability to use his left arm and almost all the mobility in his left leg. And because my dad was never taught how to manage his money, how to leverage his money into the stock market, he has ended up with nothing and living off of government aid. That's why I say your life depends on it. Start taking action now. Stop waiting. I'm going to say that many times in this video because I want it to get through to your head. Chapter 3. Start today. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time, now. So I used to lean on the excuse that it was too late for me to start investing. I don't have enough money. I just never did it. Now, if you don't think you have enough money, because it's a very common response when people who don't make very much hear somebody talking about investing, and they kind of just glaze over in the eyes and say, yeah, well, it must be nice. I don't have that much money. But that's just wrong. And I want to help you reframe that. Bear with me for a second. Suspend any notion about your beliefs of money. Real wealth isn't built by buying stuff. It's built by accumulating assets that grow over time. Everything you spend money on is either an asset or a liability. What are those? Simply put, an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So all of the things that you spend money on every month, think of all those different things. Are they liabilities or are they assets? Because if they are all liabilities, I'm sure there are a few of them you can replace by taking that money that was going to go to that thing and then start putting a little money here and there into an asset. You will literally watch that money grow. Now, how does it grow, you might ask? Well, there's a little term called compound interest. Compound interest is when the money you earn on your investments begins earning its own money. And instead of earning interest on the money you've invested, you earn interest on both the original amount of money and the growth that has now been added to that original amount. So think of it like a snowball effect. Over time, as your pile of money grows, that percentage is what keeps feeding it. And that percentage that it feeds it gets bigger and bigger because you're getting a percentage of a bigger piece of pie. So start spending some time researching on the internet, check YouTube, just start looking for resources to educate yourself in how you can begin your investing strategy. Chapter 4, what I did. I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but what I can do is at least break down for you the steps that I took. So I happened to find a book on a shelf one day called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I started glancing through it and I realized, holy shit, I could be doing that and would probably be a lot better off for doing it. So I put a few of those key points into practice. So one of the first steps that I took was to switch banks. I used to be at Bank of America and I felt like I was taking advantage of a lot simply by switching from out of that big bank into a bank that I chose, which is Ally Financial. It's an online banking system. Another one similar to that is SoFi. I chose Ally because that's what I just determined worked best for me. By switching banks alone, I've saved myself a lot of money just from little hidden fees everywhere. And it's been awesome. Another thing I did, automated my bill pay. Through my online banking portal, I was able to set up to have my bills paid automatically. But not just that. After Ally and then setting up online automated bill pay, I opened a Vanguard brokerage account. The main point of this video is to get started, start now, start today in investing. You don't need to know really much of anything about what to invest in, but the very basic entry points that are recommended across the board are the S&P 500 or a Roth IRA or 401k. The main stock that I invest in is VGT. It's the tech sector. We are in an AI world now, and it's only getting more and more advanced. So to me, it just made the most sense. Choose and do what you want with your own money. These are all things that with just a little bit of research and maybe a half hour, you can get up to speed on. So I set that up. And then over the course of maybe 6 months, I watched under $10,000 that I put into it. I have now accumulated close to $15,000. Understanding what compound interest is conceptually is far different than the experience of watching your money that you would normally just have in a savings account, put that into an investment account and watch it grow itself. It is absolutely game changing. So now that I've laid everything out for you in this episode, all you have to do is take that initial first step to secure your financial future. Go start today, even if it's small. Find an easy investing platform and automate it so you don't have to think about it anymore. Within 20 minutes, you can have a Vanguard account open and you can start putting a little money in there to get yourself on your way to investing. It will save your life, change your life, and you will be much better off in the future for it. If you need another resource, go check out I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It is a great book, but also a YouTube channel, which is an excellent resource to start. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe because you supporting this channel helps me with my journey, and I want to help you with your journey. Happy investing. Peace.